Hi, I'm Mystical Blue and welcome to Marvelous Videos. The Power Rangers have been an integral part of many people's childhoods. In fact, many will say that the array of quirky and cool villains is what they love and remember about the show. And talking about villains, this video is about arguably the most entertaining villain in all of Power Rangers history, Goldar. For those uninitiated, Goldar is a gigantic winged monkey wearing golden armor, thus the name. He is most notably known as being a loyal servant to Lord Zedd and his wife Rita Repulsa, carrying out their evil schemes and almost always being blamed for failing to defeat the Power Rangers. Wondering what makes him such a memorable character? Well, keep watching. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Origins of Goldar from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and the story arcs. Power Rangers really has a rather rich backstory, which may seem strange considering that the show was primarily made from Japanese footage that was cut together. When someone watches a show for the first time, they tend to skim over a lot of the characters, and Goldar is no different. In an array of villains, he seems like a secondary character, but for fans, Goldar is a class apart. He is undoubtedly the most potent adversary the Rangers have ever faced, and one of the biggest villains in the history of the program. He also undoubtedly had one of the more attractive monster designs on the program. Goldar is the only Zordon era character apart from Rita Repulsa to have appeared in every season from the original plot through the conclusion of Power Rangers in Space. Regrettably, his character was always relegated to second fiddle, usually serving as the leader of the Putty Patrol as they went head-on into conflict with the Power Rangers. As far as Goldar's origin is concerned, we don't get much of a backstory in the show, and understandably so. The show focuses on the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and their adventures saving the Earth. However, in the comics, specifically the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers 2016 annual, we get a peek into Goldar's origins and backstory. It turns out that before becoming Rita Repulsa's servant and aiding her in efforts to take over Earth, Goldar and his older brother Silverback were the finest warriors who served Lord Zedd and had achieved numerous victories on his behalf. Silverback was regarded as their greatest fighter, with Goldar a close second. With each win, Goldar's race received a new piece of armor, which could explain why he was always so heavily armored. They were badges of honor from past conquests. Zedd's emissary showed up shortly after the duo had successfully carried out another victorious battle over a resistance planet and informed Goldar and Silverback that Lord Zedd wanted to see them. Zedd's actions following his episode with the Zeo crystal had led the two brothers to assume that he had grown weak, but Goldar chose to continue to show respect for Zedd, in contrast to his brother, who was growing frustrated and wanted to break away from his service. Zedd severely wounded Silverback with a powerful red energy blast from his staff when Silverback told him that he would rather work for Dark Spectre than aid him and Rita Repulsa in their battle with Zordon. If witnessing his brother being attacked in front of him wasn't horrible enough, Lord Zedd then ordered Goldar to behead his own brother as punishment for his betrayal with his own sword. Goldar followed through on Lord Zedd's orders, killing his own brother with his own weapon. This event, highlighted in the comic, adds a lot of depth to Goldar's character and raises important questions about his morals. What kind of a person would murder their own brother? Anyway, following this torturous deed, Goldar consented to aid the evil space aliens in their conflict with Zordon. Zordon eventually sealed Goldar and the rest of Rita's gang inside a dumpster at some point post the conflict. Further, one of Saturn's moons, Titan, is where he was born. The only moon of Saturn with liquid surface evidence is Titan, the largest of the planet's numerous satellites. Although the moon was first discovered far back in 1665, it wasn't until NASA dispatched a surface rover to Titan in 2004 that its dense surface could be properly investigated. The moon remained a mystery to the average person throughout the whole interval. Perhaps for this reason, the creators of Power Power Rangers frequently chose to have their adversaries originate in these unexplored regions. The showrunners abandoned the claim that Goldar was originally from the far-off planet Dreadwing in favour of using Titan. Given that the first conflict between Rita and Zordon took place 10,000 years ago, when humans were still creating their civilizations, that sort of makes sense. Humans would have been completely unaware of a massive interplanetary space conflict taking place in their solar system had Rita and her henchmen not been imprisoned. Even the name of Goldar's armor, Titanian armor, pays homage to his place of origin. His story arc in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the series, is huge and expansive, and if we were to delve into every little detail, God only knows how long this video would go. However, here is a rundown of all the villainy that he got up to once he landed on Earth. After being imprisoned for 10,000 years, Goldar was released along with Rita and the rest of her henchmen in the first episode of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. He was put in charge of the Sorceress's initial assault on Angel Grove, and in contrast to many other evil lackeys, was more than capable of taking on the Power Rangers. In fact, the first time the Power Rangers faced him, he showed up as a gigantic version of himself, towering over the tallest buildings in Angel Grove. His appearance alone was enough to shock and scare the newly anointed Power Rangers. However, Goldar was beaten by the Rangers and their Megazord, and he went on to lose numerous more battles after that. It seemed like no matter how much effort he put in, he simply could not win against them. In fact, since Jason, the Red Ranger, and Tommy, the Green Ranger, were the ones who frequently defeated him, he developed a special dislike for them. Goldar battled alongside Scorpina once she was set free, and he later piloted his own Zord Cyclopses. Goldar joyfully embraced Lord Zedd as his new leader after Rita left the moon and he arrived. In fact, he also got his wings back thanks to Lord Zedd and became Zedd's loyal servant from that moment onwards. It is said that his cowardly behaviour is what made Lord Zedd pick Goldar as his primary henchman, because he believed that if all else failed, at least Goldar would remain fiercely loyal to him. He then oversaw numerous operations on Zedd's behest and frequently battled Tommy, who was now the White Ranger, but he was always outclassed and returned to his lord in disgrace. This also led to numerous instances where Zedd berated him due to his failures. When Lord Zedd wed Rita, Goldar was horrified and pondered what could have driven his master to act in such an insane manner. In the end, he discovered what the sorceress had done to his master and got rid of the love potion, only to be shocked to see that Zedd still had feelings for Rita. Clearly, he did not care much for Rita at this point, but had no choice but to respect her as his master's wife. Goldar frequently collaborated with Rita Revolto, Rita's brother, once he arrived on the moon, but he hated his idiocy and foul smell. Nevertheless, over time, they developed a type of friendship, something akin to the loyalty that is found among thieves. Since Goldar fought Ninja and made it possible for his master to capture him, he was able to be fairly helpful in Zedd's scheme to unleash the Shogun Zords. This further showed that he was not just another useless lackey, messing up Zedd's plans, which is probably why, despite multiple failures, Zedd still kept Goldar around. In Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Zeo, Rita and Goldar were dispatched to the command center to use an implosion generator and obliterate it. The two argued for a long time and got lost in the tunnels below, but they eventually found the command center, where they grabbed the Zeo crystal and detonated their bomb, destroying it. However, as they were teleporting away, Goldar and Rita were confused and lost the crystal, their memories, and in Goldar's case, his wings too. The poor fella seems to always mess up despite trying his best. At this point, it seems like he was simply an accidental villain, which is in contradiction with his warrior-like comic book origins. However, a comical route is where the writers took Goldar's character on, and you have got to admit, a gigantic armoured monkey bumbling about is, after all, quite funny. After some time of wandering around Angel Grove, they came across Bulk and Skull, who took them in exchange for their becoming their servants. Zedd and Rita eventually entered their dreams while they were sleeping, where they recovered their memories and Goldar's wings. The two managed to find their way back to their employers, where they were once again assisted them in their schemes. This time, the scheme was to overthrow the Machine Empire. In Mighty Morphin Power Rangers in Space, Goldar went to the United Alliance of Evil meeting on the Chimerian planet with Zedd and Rita after blowing up the Royal House of Gadgetry. He assisted his lords in their assault on the Vika Galaxy and defeated the Gold Ranger as part of the Dark Spectre's intergalactic invasion. Goldar's fate is unclear, but it is assumed that Zordon's energy wave purified or destroyed him. 22 years later, it is established that Goldar was obliterated by Zordon's energy wave. Last but not least, in Beast Morphers, one of the many villain artifacts in Ryjek's collection that Evox and his henchmen take possession of is Goldar's sword. According to Evox's instructions, Skruzzle revives Goldar as Goldar Maximus, an even more potent version of the original, using Ryjek's reanimator that is fueled by diamonds. Goldar Maximus is one heck of a beast and kills Sledge after discovering that Evox is the one who brought him back to life. He then swears allegiance to Evox. In the Dino Charge dimension, Goldar travels with Snide and engages in combat with the Dino Charge Rangers, quickly defeating them and the just arriving Beast Morphers Rangers. He defeated Coda with ease, took his Energem, and then defeated Raver, Nate, Steel, and Zoe Reeves. He easily outclassed them, demorphed them, and destroyed their morphers off camera. Goldar also ripped open a geode for Skruzzle as they headed to find him building the Chimera Zord, a secret weapon that would be used against the Rangers. Later, when Jason, Zoe, and Ravi attempted to ambush Evox and Skruzzle from behind, Goldar and Snide, as well as some putties, cryptoids, and Vivix appeared to attack them. Then, Goldar, along with Roxy, Snide, and the army attacked, but Tyler killed Goldar, while Ivan's lightning final strike eliminated Roxy and Snide. Goldar resisted the Rangers' demands for submission, but they eventually defeated him with the Dino Power Ultra Blaster by combining the Petra Saber, Dino Spike, Power Blaster, and Zedd Rex Blaster, spelling the end for the Golden Primate. His character development is noteworthy because, particularly after Rita Revolto was introduced, he became significantly sillier and more humorous, with no instances of actual hostility. In fact, when Zedd stated that he had grown to love Rita even without the love potion, Goldar became much more mellow and far less aversive towards her, when previously Goldar had passionately opposed Rita's marriage to Zedd and was openly hostile to her at every opportunity. It wouldn't be the last time we would see a fierce Goldar, however, because he reverted to his angrier and more frightening persona after being revived as Goldar Maximus. However, he was even angrier than before, despite being fiercely loyal to Evox.
I am King Goldar, the ruler of the universe!
Goldar in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers the movie. In contrast to his television version, Goldar is a profoundly idiotic sidekick who works for Lord Zedd and Rita Repulsa and does not wield a sword in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers the movie, which was released all the way back in the year 1995. His costume was made especially for the film and was far better than the ones used in the television series, since it allowed the actor to move more freely and allowed the character's face to be more expressive. Goldar travels with Zedd and Rita to Earth in the movie, where they free the sorcerer Ivan Ooze from his egg-like confinement. Upon being freed, Ivan had other plans and decided that he wanted to take over the world by himself. To be able to do so, he imprisons Rita and Zedd in a snow globe and strips them of their abilities. Given the fact that they had to choose between being imprisoned themselves or joining Ivan, Goldar and his accomplice Mordaunt defect to the Ooze. He then acts as Ooze's right-hand man and aids in teaching the adults of Angel Grove how to unearth Ivan's war machines, the Ectomorphicon Titans, by brainwashing them. He then sits back with his new master Ivan and watches joyfully as the machines come to life and wreak havoc on Angel Grove. Although after Ivan fuses with Hornita in an effort to fight the resurgent Power Rangers who had come back to stop Ivan's massacre, he promptly leaves Earth for the moon, wanting to no longer be involved in the showdown that he had helped start. After the death of Ivan Ooze, Goldar, who goes by the moniker King Goldar, takes control of the Moon Palace in a scene during the credits, calling himself King Goldar, the ruler of the universe. He is enjoying the company of Mordaunt while lounging on Zedd's throne, but when Zedd and Rita suddenly approach him angrily, he becomes alarmed. This plays into the comical role Goldar was relegated to as the years went by and further cements his place as second in command and never one who was fit to be a villain in his own right. Compared to the TV show, Goldar's face is shorter and resembles a cat rather than a dog in this movie. Further, the golden sword, which was always included in the series, is not present present in this adaptation. Additionally, he lacks the black hair strands that were shown in the TV show, so there were quite a few character differences. Ivan and Goldar even gave each other high fives at one point, demonstrating how much funnier and friendlier he is in comparison to the villain we see in the TV series. The only other occasion Goldar is shown using his wings to fly is in Day of the Dumpster, which is an interesting fact considering there is much speculation surrounding his wings among fans.
Let's kill everyone.
A reimagined Goldar featured in the 2017 Power Rangers movie. With Fred Tatasio's voice effects, Goldar appears as a secondary adversary in the 2017 film remake. He emerges as a massive, all-gold-made monster with a gargoyle-like appearance. Rather than a person with a distinct personality, director Dean Israelite described Goldar as a kaiju-like beast that would be a physical manifestation of Rita's wickedness in an interview with Entertainment Weekly. Israelite and production designer Andrew Menzies compared Goldar to a chocolate fountain with a molten form that never takes shape, saying the creature is a nameless, menacing extension of Rita that is nearly unstoppable. According to the plot of the movie, Rita made Goldar in order to break through the force field enclosing the Zeo crystal. During the opening action sequence on Ancient Earth, Goldar was melted by Zordon into a cloud of small gold particles, and his molecular essence was dispersed. Rita recreates Goldar by stealing gold from structures, dental implants, and jewelry shops in order to bring about the monster. The Rangers engage Goldar with their Zords for the first time as Rita commands him to grab the Zeo crystal from beneath the neighborhood Krispy Kreme store. This leads to them building the Megazord. Rita tries to defeat them by immediately combining with Goldar, but the Rangers are able to kill the monster and launch Rita in the direction of the moon. In this appearance, Goldar was fiercely loyal to Rita and pretty much acted like her mindless servant, never asking twice and simply carrying out orders, which honestly was a disservice to the iconic character. Notably, the 2017 movie's visual direction has sparked discussion after a preview of Goldar's appearance in the form of a tie-in action figure. Various outlets have noted that his gold-centric character design is one of the largest changes from the 1990s series. His character has been compared to a melting candle of gold, a huge chocolate fountain, a golem made out of molten melted gold, and someone who took the classic Goldar and drowned him in nacho cheese. Among other things, fans clearly were not impressed with this take on the classic villain. Some of his other notable appearances. Not only has Goldar appeared in the TV series and the 2017 movie, but he also has other notable appearances. It comes as a shock to no one that this character has been incorporated into other media simply because of how iconic and cool Goldar is. Goldar has appeared in the comic book products of the franchise Boom Studios. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers comic book series features Goldar on a regular basis. It is a contemporary alternate retelling of the same name TV series and is unrelated to any previous media or the 2017 reboot movie. In the comic book series, it was revealed that Goldar previously had a sibling named Silverback who resembled a gorilla. They both worked for Lord Zedd, the Emperor, and were both categorized as belonging to an extraterrestrial ape race. The comics are in fact how we find out about Goldar's sinister beginnings. Additionally, Goldar joined the Dark Rangers in a subsequent issue when he took on the identity of the Yellow Dark Ranger. Goldar has appeared in numerous Power Rangers video game incarnations. He is the primary antagonist in the Mighty Morphin chapter of the video game Power Rangers Super Legends, and Nolan North provides the voice for him. He is initially heard grumbling about Rita, forcing him to perform her dirty chores. Then, in a time hole appearance, Lord Zedd commands him to pollute Angel Grove's water supply, turning everyone there into zombies to create an army of Zedd putties, finally giving him a purpose. Goldar complies with Zedd's orders, but the Power Rangers are right behind him. The hunt comes to a close in Angel Grove, where Goldar is about to poison the water supply before being stopped by the Power Rangers and forcibly made to grow to his gigantic size to be able to face them. In the Megazord combat, he unfortunately but predictably loses. As far as unconventional media appearances go, Goldar made an appearance in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Live, a travelling stage production. production. Producers will milk a franchise as lucratively as Power Rangers to the furthest extent possible. The Power Rangers thus had their own touring stage performance for kids to enjoy, just like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It was terrible, just like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles show. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Live was a standard gimmick designed to make money. It was a non-canon fiction in which aliens crash-landed in the location of the program and attempted to study Lord Zedd's nefarious ways. Naturally, the Power Rangers showed up to save the day, replete with live music, terrible fight choreography, and clothes that appear to have been purchased at Dollar Tree. Surprisingly, this stage play was able to incorporate all of the actors in its creation, sort of. For the stage production, the whole cast of the TV show recorded their lines and sequences. However, different actors performed as each character on stage. That's probably the only cool thing about this adaptation. In fact, Goldar's costume was pretty out of proportion as well, with his head being much larger than his body. And last but not least, since the start of the franchise, Goldar has appeared on a variety of items, just like many other characters from the Power Rangers series. The Power Rangers Lightning Collection included a figure that was only available through the video game retailer GameStop. The action figure has fully functional wings in addition to Goldar's signature sword and battle effects attachments. Bandai reimagined Goldar as an action figure for the Power Rangers movie interactive Megazord line, based on his appearance in the 2017 reboot movie.
I shall restore to you what was once taken away. Lord Zedd, I thank
What is the significance of Goldar's wings? Fans of the Rangers have been debating the issue of Goldar's wings for many years. Are they an essential part of the persona, or was it a sign that he finally lost his cool? Why were they so big but hardly ever utilized? The burly antagonist from the early Mighty Morphin Power Rangers episodes featured a little pair of wings that folded down behind him as he engaged in combat. Then, for some reason, they disappeared. The wings made a comeback at the start of season 2 with a new design. They expanded out and were nearly as long as the character's torso before disappearing once more at the start of Power Rangers Zeo. The simple fact that Goldar's Super Sentai counterpart had retractable wings, which were never shown in his Power Rangers film, is the real solution to this mystery. However, the authors made an effort to make sense of it by symbolizing the wings instead of giving them practical use or meaning. Goldar's wings are one of the first things Lord Zedd restores after ejecting Rita from the show at the start of season 2. It is suggested that Rita had taken them away as a form of retribution for the character's continual failures in his encounters with Power Rangers. When he lost his wings once more at the start of Zeo, this hypothesis was all but verified. One astute viewer observed that as Zedd and Rita escaped the Machine Empire, one of their Tenga warriors, those unsettling bird creatures from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers the movie, is carrying Goldar's severed wings following his failure to destroy the Rangers, despite his success in blowing up the command center. Although interestingly, in the pilot episode of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, Goldar was actually called Flydar, which could be a nod to his wings. However, looking at it now, the wings are purely symbolic in nature.
Look at him, that dude's huge!
What makes Goldar so powerful? Goldar was one of the few henchmen that could hold his own against the complete Power Ranger team. In contrast to the majority of other henchmen, Goldar's persona evolved throughout the course of the series, turning into a more endearing comedy figure. At first, he was a fearsome fighter who was capable of defeating the original team by himself. Later on though, he started to lose his edge, and in the episode Missing Green, Jason dealt him his first significant loss. He appeared to lose strength after this, falling victim to the Rangers in battle more frequently. Let us explore his powers and abilities. Goldar, who was nearly on par with Rito Revolto in terms of strength and was stronger than Squat, Babu, and Finster, was the fourth most powerful member of the evil space aliens. Rita, Zedd, and Master Vile were still considerably more powerful than him though. When it comes to unique abilities, Goldar had the ability to unleash fireball blasts from his eyes that were potent enough to erupt into tremendous explosions surrounding surrounding Jason as he ran away from the latter and King Sphinx. It defeated the Thunder Megazord and pushed the White Tiger Sword back into Tiger mode when paired with Scorpina's Claw Barrage. In order to dodge attacks, Goldar could also teleport and cause himself to disappear. Although he disappeared in the same way as in Season 1 in the episode Goldar's Vice Versa, he began to always leave in a huge cloud of orange flame starting in Season 2. In order to help him combat the Rangers, Goldar could also conjure both iterations of the Putty Patrol. Goldar was also able to easily summon them once the putties were replaced by Tenga warriors as Rita and Zedd's foot soldiers. When it came to his skills, Goldar was superior to every other villain when using a weapon, especially his sword, possibly even surpassing Rita. It is said that he was second only to the Lord Zedd himself. For instance, Zedd could easily defeat Tommy in his more potent White Ranger form, whereas Goldar routinely struggled to defeat him in his Green Ranger form. Even though Goldar's hand-to-hand combat skills were not as strong as his swordsmanship, he was still easily able to defeat all 5 Rangers, but Tommy was almost always able to outmuscle him in the end. In Warrior mode, a fireball from the White Tiger Sword and the electrified Power Sword both caused him and Scorpina to fall to the ground, surviving without any injuries, demonstrating how tough he was. He was also incredibly nimble and agile, as evidenced by the first time he faced up against the Dino Megazord. Goldar was able to quickly evade the Megazord and strike without getting struck. Goldar has also lived for many years and thus is clearly good at taking care of himself during battle. Goldar is also good at chemistry, which is a unique ability for a monkey soldier. For Zedd's Bicentennial Sleep of Oblivion, as depicted in the first segment of The Wedding, Goldar was able to cook up a substantial amount of chemistry and set up related equipment, and he received feedback from Zedd. Quite the smart primitive, eh? Goldar's story is expansive and unique. He started off as one of the strongest characters and foes of the Power Rangers, but through the course of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers series was demoted to a bumbling side character who could not seem to do anything right. Understandably, Rita and Lord Zedd were the primary antagonists of the show and the larger Mighty Morphin storyline. However, it might have been quite fun to weave Goldar in as a villain that actually posed a threat to the Rangers. What do you think about Goldar? Was his character arc an unfortunate devolution, or do you prefer the comical Goldar instead? Tell us in the comment section below. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone.